Have you ever wondered what happens when two superpowers, two ancient giants, clash for centuries? I'm not talking about a single battle or a quick war. I'm talking about a rivalry that spanned 700 years, shaping the very course of history. This is the epic saga of the Roman-Persian Wars, a conflict that defined an entire era. From the dusty plains of Mesopotamia to the rugged mountains of Armenia, these two empires, Rome and Persia, were locked in a seemingly endless struggle for dominance. It all began in the 1st century BC, when the ambitious Roman Republic, hungry for expansion, cast its eyes eastward. There, they met the Parthian Empire, the successors to the Achaemenid Persians. The first major clash at Carrhae in 53 BC was a disaster for Rome. The brilliant general Crassus was defeated and killed, and the Roman standards were captured, a humiliation that would haunt Rome for decades. This wasn't just a border skirmish. It was the opening act of a grand, centuries-long drama. The Parthians, with their legendary mounted archers, proved to be a formidable foe, masters of hit-and-run tactics that bewildered the Roman legions. Over the next few centuries, the battle lines swayed back and forth. Emperors like Trajan pushed deep into Persian territory, even capturing their capital Thessaly. But these victories were often short-lived. The vast distances and harsh terrain made it nearly impossible for Rome to hold on to its gains. The Parthians would always strike back, reclaiming their lands. It was a brutal cycle of invasion and counter-invasion. Famous emperors like Hadrian realized the futility of endless expansion and opted for a more defensive strategy, fortifying the eastern frontier. This wasn't a sign of weakness, but a pragmatic recognition of their powerful rival. Then, in the 3rd century AD, the game changed. A new dynasty, the Sasanians, rose to power in Persia. They were more centralized, more aggressive, and saw themselves as the rightful heirs of the ancient Persian kings like Cyrus the Great. Their first great king, Ardashir, and his successor, Shapur I, inflicted stunning defeats on the Romans. Shapur even managed to capture a Roman emperor, Valerian, in battle, an unprecedented event that sent shockwaves across the Roman world. The Sasanian threat was real, and it forced Rome to constantly adapt and pour immense resources into its eastern defenses. The rivalry wasn't just about battles and territory. It was also a clash of cultures and ideologies. Rome, with its evolving identity from republic to pagan empire to Christian empire, stood in contrast to Zoroastrian Persia. Both saw themselves as the center of the civilized world, destined to rule. This ideological struggle fueled the conflict, making peace treaties fragile and temporary. Yet, amidst the warfare, there was also trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Ideas, art, and technologies flowed across the heavily guarded border, a testament to the complex relationship between these two giants. As we move into the late Roman and early Byzantine period, the nature of the conflict shifted again. With the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire, the wars took on a religious dimension. The Sasanians, often wary of their own Christian minorities, sometimes persecuted them, adding another layer of tension. Great emperors like Julian the Apostate tried one last time to decisively defeat Persia but failed, dying in campaign. The wars became grueling wars of attrition, draining both empires of manpower and treasure. Cities were besieged, provinces were ravaged, and countless lives were lost in this relentless struggle. One of the most intense periods of the conflict occurred in the 6th and early 7th centuries, under emperors like Justinian and Heraclius. The Sasanian king Khosrow II launched a massive invasion, conquering Syria, Palestine, and even Egypt. He came breathtakingly close to destroying the Byzantine Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, for good. The sacred city of Jerusalem was sacked, and its holiest relics were carried off to Persia. For a moment, it seemed like the ancient dream of a restored Persian empire stretching to the Mediterranean was about to be realized. But then came one of history's greatest comebacks. The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius, against all odds, launched a daring counteroffensive. He didn't just defend, he took the war deep into the heart of Persia itself. In a series of brilliant campaigns, he shattered the Sasanian armies, marching all the way to the gates of their capital. Khosrow too was overthrown, and the exhausted Sasanian Empire sued for peace. Heraclius recovered the lost territories and the stolen relics, returning to Constantinople a hero. It was a stunning victory, seemingly the final, decisive chapter in this 700-year-old story. However, history has a way of surprising us. This final, cataclysmic war had left both empires utterly exhausted. They had bled each other white for decades, their armies depleted, their treasuries empty, and their populations weary of endless conflict. They were completely unprepared for the storm that was gathering in the deserts of Arabia. Just a few years after Heraclius's triumph, the newly unified Arab armies, inspired by Islam, swept out of the peninsula. They faced two superpowers who were mere shadows of their former selves. The Sassanian Empire, wrecked by civil war and weakened beyond recovery, collapsed with shocking speed. The Byzantine Empire, though it survived, lost Syria, Egypt, and North Africa's wealthiest provinces. The 700-year duel between Rome and Persia had ended not with a clear winner, but with both powers being swept aside by a new, unforeseen force that would go on to create a new world order. The long war had created a power vacuum, and history, as it always does, abhorred the void. And so, the epic tale of the Roman-Persian wars comes to a close. It's a story of ambition, resilience, and the incredible cost of endless conflict. It reminds us that even the mightiest empires can be brought low, not just by their rivals, but by their own costly obsessions. This ancient rivalry didn't just define its own time. It set the stage for the Middle Ages and the world we know today. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through one of history's longest and most fascinating conflicts. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button, subscribe for more epic stories from our past, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let me know in the comments which historical rivalry you'd like to see covered next. Until then, stay curious.